No label deals, no radio play, no marketing budget. Just a mic, a bedroom, and a broken heart. That's how Latin indie took over the internet, one lo-fi love song at a time. So in a world full of loud reggaeton and polished Latin pop, a quiet wave started making waves online. Dreamy, sad, beautiful, and most of all, real. This is how Latin indie music became the internet's favorite genre without ever asking for permission. If this is your first time here, welcome to Vibras. Here at this channel, we cover Latin culture and music topics. So make sure to subscribe for more content like this every single week. Alright, so let's get into it. It's 2015. Latin music is dominated by global hits. J Balvin, Enrique Iglesias, Pitbull. Everything is loud, high energy, and chart focused. It's party music, flashy, commercial, with high production value. And then, in the corners of YouTube, on late night Tumblr scrolls, and on homemade Spotify playlists, something softer starts to emerge, something quieter and more personal. So artists like Cuco are making love songs on GarageBand. The Marias are whispering bilingual lullabies. Those Retros is crafting cassette-era soul in his bedroom. No press, no cosigns, just vibes. So they weren't industry plants. They weren't backed by million-dollar teams. These were teens with laptops teaching themselves how to record vocals with $50 microphones. And slowly, people started sharing it. Not in the clubs, but in DMs, in group charts, and on edits, with a bunch of their lyrics like Quiero conocerte and Como nadie te conoce. It wasn't a trend, it was a feeling. And that feeling started to spread around the internet. So why did this genre of music hit so hard online? Because the internet doesn't really care about labels, right? It cares about feeling. The music wasn't made to go viral. It was made to be honest. It didn't scream, it whispered. And on a platform like YouTube, SoundCloud, or TikTok, that whisper reached the right audience and the right ears. These weren't songs engineered for a 15-second hook. They were entire emotional moods. The kind of songs that you loop for an hour while laying in bed thinking about someone that you barely dated, right? So people were tired of the polished, perfect, overproduced sound. Latin indie felt human, messy vocals, simple production, lyrics that sound like your notes app after a breakup. And that vulnerability wasn't performative. It was awkward, imperfect, and real. And in that imperfection, people saw themselves. And that's what made people really love the genre of Latin indie music. It was the first time a lot of young Latino kids heard music that sounded like them. Not their parents, not their cousins, just them. Soft, online, in between, bicultural, emotional but chill, romantic but reserved. So everything was analog, vintage, intimate, red lighting, VHS textures, soft focus portraits, low budget but high feeling. Artists weren't dressing like pop stars. No choreographed music videos, no branded merch drops. They looked like your best friend's older sibling with great taste in music. And there was a whole visual language that developed with this genre. You could see the music before you even heard it. You knew a Cuco fan when you saw one. You knew a Maria's fan just by their vibe. The entire aesthetic was, here's my heart. I made this in my room. Take it if you want it. And that pretty much hit harder than any flashy visual ever could. It wasn't aspirational. It was relatable. And that was the power of Latin indie music. It made being soft feel cool. A whole generation of Latino kids built playlists, made edits, shared songs, posted covers. There was pretty much no gatekeepers, just vibes. It wasn't about followers. It was about feelings and enjoying good music together. And because it came from the internet, it was accessible. It didn't matter where you lived. If you had Wi-Fi, you could find it. If you were up late feeling things, these songs would pretty much work for you. So this was music for us, by us. And no one had to ask for permission. So if you were sad in two languages, there was a song for you. If you were the only Latin kid in your friend group who listened to indie, you weren't alone anymore. There were so many other people checking out these super good Latin indie songs. These artists made us feel seen. So here's a big shift. For the first time in a long time, Latin music isn't just about these overproduced genres. It's about so many different types of identity. These artists didn't set out to make Latin indie. They just made what felt real to them. It just happened to resonate with millions of people who didn't feel like they belonged to any one box either. This wasn't Latin music because it had Spanish lyrics. While it did have Spanish lyrics, it was Latin music because it came from Latinos, because it carried our duality, our longing, and our softness. No corridos, no pop formulas, no reggaeton loops, just raw emotion sung in Spanglish, recorded in bedrooms, and shared by kids who finally had a sound to call their own. This wasn't the mainstream, but it became mainstream, and that's even cooler. So if you want to understand how Latin indie took over the internet, start with these 6 songs. Number 1, Cuco, Lover is the Day. The original sad boy anthem, lo-fi, dreamy, 7 minutes of emotion. Number 2, The Marias, I Don't Know You. Soft vocals, cinematic energy, the sound of a bilingual fever dream. Number 3, Those Retros, someone to spend time with. a DIY classic, so simple it hurts, but literally one of the songs that took off the genre. Number 4, Bratty, Ropa de Bazar. Mexican bedroom pop at its finest. Literally feels like walking through memories. And number 5, Girl Ultra, Discreción. Modern R&B, all in Spanish, with some great attitude. And finally, a bonus song is Inner Wave, American Spirits. Psychedelic indie rock that feels like California in slow motion. So these songs aren't just tracks, they're literally timestamps of the genre, memories, moods, and proof that you don't need a label to make something unforgettable. Latin indie didn't win because it was loud, it won because it was true. In a time where everything is engineered for the algorithm, something real will always break through. These artists didn't want to be discovered. They built their own lane, and in doing that, they created space for others to be soft, sad, and Latino without any explanation. They made music for people like them, people like us. And the internet, it didn't just listen, it embraced it. So if you're a part of that wave, if you remember when these songs first started popping off, drop a comment down below with your favorite song. For me personally, it's still those Retros. That's literally one of those bands I listen to every single day. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Vibras, where Latin music lives, evolves, and vibes online. See you in the next one.